just fine. We've been following Light for a little bit. We know he has a couple eliminations. He's been ramping up. I mean, just judging from the zone here, he's very proactive for a time that he doesn't have to be. This is so aggressive. Do you understand that right now the zone hasn't revealed itself and he's still fighting? Like, he doesn't care.
Dude, he found the prize underneath the cone. He just used his game sense, popped the cone and found it, but he may be paying for that Elam monster as the rest of the lobby does look focused. He is on the congested side, and the 50-50, the half in, half out pulls all the way south. So everybody up here is going to have to make that long trek journey right before the rotating circle. Benji's still alive, Swag alive, Durag hanging on the top, but this is where the lobby is going to start falling, and Benji picks up an Elam right there with the tack. Big time refresher for him as well. He does have a pad monster. You mentioned before that a pad could save your resources, especially if you're on the back line trying to make yourself going all the way to the front line. A pad's a great utility, and here we are, Benji Fishy, 46 points, doing really well in day one.
You can't forget, not only is he a good rotator, he's a formidable box fighter as well. Benji Fishy, 3 eliminations, coming back, really picking up the points right now. He's suddenly in the talks here now. He's like in the middle of the pack. He's on track right now for qualification. At least, you know, to set himself up for a good day. He has Castery, who came through the open quals. Someone that we knew probably deserved to be there, as far as deserved to be here today amongst the best. A clear veteran. He was a standout player last week. He's a standout player today. He's playing so well. Benji back on the prowl here, back on the hustle. He has half in, half out. These guys are in a world of trouble right now as they have to cut across. There's no launch pad set in play right now. Benji's just looking for a shot, Sancho.
That's what I was going to say. The only factor is that he does not have a lot of AR to be picking at everybody. So he's going to definitely have to look for an ammo refresh as he's going to continue onward here as Max jumps onto the high point here. Still on board with Benji, has 146 AR. May have those opportunities to get some tags that he's looking for, but you said so yourself, at the middle of the pack right now, in the earlier days for the different regions, about 57 or so got you in the top 300. Big old edit right there, and gets that quick dink right there. 4 elims walking right to him, and I think he does get some ammo refresh, so that was a big elimination, and he has the tools in his kit to succeed and do what he does best, Monster.
The ammo, a little bit of material as well, as he's going to have to cross all the way. Notice he's not pushing because he has a launch pad. He has options here. Now he's trying to set up this short pad. I think he's just deciding here. Yeah, he's going to go all the way. He's going to high pad it because of how far he is. He wants to make sure he has just enough time to get all the way to the other side. He's going to land on height and hit a little bit of a crank. So we'll probably find him as the high ruler of this lobby. We'll see in just a bit. Here's Optilly, who's now moving on the low ground right now. Cuts off an enemy, puts the wall down. He looks right back into the distance here. He's not going to find that player, though. Optilly just kind of hanging out now. Still looking for eliminations. This is the time that you want to be ahead of the zone, though. This is the time you want to continue to cross. He's got 4 floppers, though. If there's anyone that could play with the back storm line, it's him. And now comes the cut.
And these are the playstyles that come up here, Monster, that sometimes some people are comfortable being on the backside with a lot of floppers. And that's right there, being able to kind of steal your way into someone's tarping or tunnel right there. Kind of sneaks his way into that layer. And so I'm expecting a lot of times he's going to sneak up on people. He doesn't, almost pays the price. But what a great risk for Optilly, able to catch someone right there. Hit him some big shots with attack. As we're taking a look as the storm is moving right to left. A lot of people still hanging out in the storm, and Optilly one of them. But he has a lot of floppers. Benji still on, not quite at the high ground, but he's still up there with Ventus. And as the rest of the lobby is going right over to the south side of the entire map, there's not a lot of contentions in terms of mountains or natural game time. And Benji is sneaking up, the solo, sneaking up, bang, right in the back with 74. Doesn't get the big time, but follows it up with another big time critical hit. Benji Fishy is on a tear, and he's on the high ground, Monster.
He took the floor. It was his control, making it look easy, and Renzi's on a rampage right now. And this is what happens when he fires up. 7 eliminations now, and he's in the end game. This is the scariest place for Benji to be. On height, in the end game, with just enough ammunition in the tank and health to kind of push it through. He doesn't have material, though. He's gonna have to make a big move here. You hear the grappler just firing off right now, and that's where his focus is now turned to. It's Vex, who's just nearby. Take a look here. This is gonna be a good engagement right now. Lucky for him, the zone is going to benefit back into him right here. He might have to jump in for this, yes, because he doesn't have material. He's going to grab it all. Can he get back to height in time? This is the answer. This is the question. It is his. He's back up here now. He's got just enough to take this fight here. Such a crucial elimination for him.
Big time plays for Benji, able to get all that stuff, as you said, Monster. Benji trying to bake himself to say to the rest of the lobby, it doesn't matter if you qualified. My name is Benji Fishy, and I'm here to say I'm one of the best players in the EU. You know me, and now I'm going to put yourself in the kill feed as he picks up a big time flopper, and now he's hanging out, and he has 3. This is going to be a big time play right here for Benji, and he picks up another elim, catching someone with the edit right up exposed. So right now, Monster, he has a grappler. This is entirely up to Benji to hold the rest and get the victory royale.
Picking up that grappler basically seals the deal for height right now. All he has to do is be hyper cautious of launch patterns, but I don't even think that's going to be an issue because he has material for the end game here. I don't even hear an RPG in play right now. There might not be anyone in the lobby that can stop him at this point. He's basically on a free reign at the top right now. Here's down in the low ground, Kinwin, who does find an RPG with 12 shots, but it's recycled builds. It's all healthy builds. To pierce this RPG through now will just give up his location and be a big risk for him. Let's see though, he readies it up, sets the shot out. He doesn't hit the terrain quite just yet, and now he comes out for the shotgun cherry. Can he find something? Can he connect right here? He needs these. And it's Benji. He comes down. He wants a piece of the action. He just wants more points in the bucket right now. This is his game right here. It's going back up the heel, Sancho.
Oh, I know it's entirely up to him to secure the victory royale, and you said to yourself the grappler guarantees high, but the RPG is being a big factor right now. But Benji has his opponent really low, and Benji secures the royale. And what an amazing performance, Monster, with 105 points and 10 elims, baby.
He turned it all around. He turned it all around.
That is the Benji Fishy we are used to seeing, guys. What up, EU? Let's go game after game. You know, it's crazy. We've not only seen a variety of the entire region playing across all 4 games, but we've had a different winner every single time. And now, it's Benji Fishy. Guys, walk me through that last game. Monster, I feel like so much confidence was behind Benji as he made it in there into the final, circle. And then the crucial thing that happened is that he picks off the player with the grappler. And that's not something you want to put in Benji's hand. You don't want to put the most, versatile mobility tool into someone's hands like Benji Fishy.
A weapon that cannot be lethal suddenly becomes lethal in a pro's hands like Benji. Yet, for a second there, it looked like his gas tank was just all out, right? It looked like he was out of gasoline, the car was going to stop moving, and he was stuck. But all of a sudden, he starts really finding those key eliminations. I mean, Sancho saw it. He shoutcasted that moment. He jumped right in and took the shotgun shots and found the points, right? He found the points, found the mats.
He found everything, man, and that one moment where he snuck away and took that loot. Look at this replay here that I'm talking about. This was the moment where Benji Fish just turned it up. He snuck and took that high ground, and you're going to see what he does best, and that is get elims. You mentioned he is a great rotator and a box fighter, and those are the 2 elements that lead to success. This is what moment I'm talking about. He kind of jumps right down and grabs the grappler, and that was the key moment to solidify his chances of getting that victory royale, Monster.
And you're going to see it right here. When he hits the grapple to come up on height, he knew he had the floppers to stay in the zone just long enough. And this is why I literally just reviewed all of his gameplay, his solo performances. He's one of my key picks for EU. Mental fortitude, skill to back it up, and knows how to play endgame. There's players that get to those endgames and they can't quite seal the deal. When Benji's going, his engines are revving, he's hot, he's on fire, he's going all the way down the track.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from their natural game sense, right? Because you got to think, before that moment, he's thinking about, okay, what do I have, right? And this happens for every pro. It's like, how many builds do I have? What does my ammo count look like? Okay, I pick up Fex. Wait, he had the grappler, and I still have floppers. That's where it's like, you completely turn the game on its head, because you watch him grapple out of the storm, and it's like, cool. I can hit you from any angle. As long as I get the angle, I've got an HP advantage.
And not only that, it's just being able to keep track of all the variables, right? Just remembering that he only just found the grappler, only just found the floppers, but solidifying that in his brain. Like, I have heals, I have height, playing into elims, coming back out. It's all just not playing into the 50-50, but weighing his putting his chips on his strongest spots right there. Like, he's playing to his benefit all the way through. Just what a good game. What a good replay too, to just kind of capitalize in on like the winner of that game. It was such a good end game for us.
And to mention, he started off the day not so hot. I mean, that is the pro mentality. Even if you have a stumble early on, you're able to regain your footing and run and to continue running. Again, this is a marathon. We're talking about 20 games here, Zeke. So it's going to be very interesting to see who could keep up the stamina at this crazy pace.
Man, I'm so amped, guys. And you know what? I'm getting word. Games are ready. We are hopping into game number 5 out of EU. To get us back into all the action, let's hand it back off to MDF and Sancho West.
Zeke, thank you so very much once again as we're hopping back into the thick of it. Oh, we're starting up with our star player here, Benji Fishy, who's going to get tagged on his way down. He's going to get hit before he even, manages to defend himself, to say the least. You can see there, the med kit, 10 crucial seconds now washed away. The last game we tuned in here, he was setting up an ambush on players over at the Blacktops. Now, this is one of his other locations he tends to land. If he can't claim the Blacktops, he actually lands here at the Doghouse. This is what I noticed in some of his gameplay, and he does a really good job of tracking players in the early game, making sure that the POI is clear. So for the most part, he knows that this rotation is free to go, and he's not going to go over to the Blacktops just yet, which is the other portion of the retail row here.
And something we have to talk about that we talked about in the play versus with Pickle and Steve McSweaty, they talked about earning respect in the POI. And someone like Benji, no doubt, earns the respect for the rest of the lobby. You know that Benji's going to be here, so you know that you cannot really just go there, right? We all talked about in the early days of Tfue landing in the western part of Old School Chapter 1. You knew not to go there. Now, granted, I made that mistake in one of the skirmishes. I didn't know at the time, and I got ousted and got put right back into the lobby. So that is what's really cool about the pro scene, especially in scrims and third-party tournaments and things like that. You eventually earn a reputation of owning an area, and Benji, no doubt, owns Retail Row today.
And Benji has earned his respect months ago now at this point. There's so many pros of that caliber too, right? When they say, hey, you know what? I'm taking this area. A lot of people tend to change their minds of whether or not you even want to take on the likes of that. But hey, to become the best, you got to take on the best and eventually overthrow them. As we're looking at Robobs here, it's Freen H, a team that's been around for so long. Just look at the box fight. Look at how clean he is. The window edit, the floor edit, the control right now. He knows how to dictate the pace of these battles. He is a veteran when it comes down to these situations here. And performing under pressure is nothing for a player like Robobs. He's been around for a long time.
It's interesting to see how how Fortnite's progressed, and now that box fighting has become a major factor, considering that traps are no longer around, so players don't have to play too hesitant when it comes to getting into someone's boxes. But regardless of that, if you're just starting off your Fortnite career or if you're trying to look to get better, be sure to box fight. I mean, there's so many awesome things in the creative maps that so many of the awesome creators out there in the creative scene have created awesome box fighting arenas. I mean, I can think of Clicks having that awesome box fighting map. I probably spent a lot of hours doing my best getting into those box fighting arenas, creative setup. So that's what's really cool that I think you kind of mentioned before the broadcast, Monster, is that is this a stacked lobby more so than World Cup? I think the player skill level has progressed so much more since World Cup of last year.
Yeah, I mean, the game's come such a long way. These are staple just names in the competitive scene, like Toos right here, right? You have players like Gambit Toos. His teammate was Cravado, right? These are players that maybe before we didn't know of, or, hey, they're making some waves. Now they're all solidified. Staple names on the competitive scene. They're all going toe-to-toe. And the skill ceiling has gotten so far in Fortnite.
That,
even someone like Marcus, again, these are just such, high caliber players. This invite system is the first of its kind, or the first that we've probably seen in a while, right? We're mixing now invitational players that have earned their stay here without a doubt, with players that are walking in through an open format, right? You weren't invited, well, hell, you have the, now you have the opportunity to play through. And that's what we're looking at here. So this competition this weekend is just a start. I mean, it's a mix-up, but it's still some of the best competition that we've seen.
Hey, you cannot count out the good old content creators, man. You never know, man. Someone could show up, show out. You know, just because we run around, goofing around, party royales and whatnot, doesn't mean we know how to shine. It'd be interesting to see if any of the content creators from these open fields could step up. But now we're here with Kinwin and Teak, and they're in a little battle themselves. Teak sitting with 21 points as well, using the harpoon, knowing that metal could be broken very easily with the harpoon, trying to find his way in. Might phase his way in, and there it is, a simple, nice little phase in, but he's getting blocked out by that ramp. We have seen this technique right here where you can continuously ramp over the opponent, and Teak gets bopped right there by Kinwin, but that was a nice push by Teak. Fortunately, Kinwin was able to kind of protect himself with that ramp technique that we've been seeing on social media lately.
I had a feeling it was all over when he went with that second swing to the ramp while in the box. Like, he didn't even get to swap out fast enough or take the floor here. Here's Scully. We haven't seen much of today, but it seems like he's been having a pretty decent tournament so far. I mean, 65 points, pretty solid here. He's on track for a good day one. Remember, guys, this is the EU region day one of the official Fortnite broadcast. We are returning with weekly broadcasts for the remainder of the FNCS solos. We're covering, you know, mainly the EU and NA East regions right now, but competition's been going on all day, all weekend long. Scully's on the run right now, though. Was looking good. He's trying to turn things around here, looking for a better angle, and that's the angle he needs. 141 in the first shot, and the body shot to follow up right afterwards. Two-piece right there for him. Very well played.
What about you talking about a turn? And that is a great turn right there. I mean, opening up that with 147, that's the big time hits that you need. And you know, that's what I'm talking about, man. The aim and things of that sort. If you could hit those big shots, it kind of nullifies a lot of, you know, editing and building things like that, because all of a sudden it's a moments before you only have a split second to try to protect yourself with some kind of edit or ramp or reverse ramp, whatever you got in your utility to kind of survive. And Scala, you mentioned it, man, doing really well with 69 points, looking really healthy for the rest of this match. And I think what it is, you saw how aggressive he was, and actually leaves the rocket launcher behind, electing to go without it. So no doubt, very confident with this kit that he has right now here, Monster.
Yeah, I'm a big advocate for it. It doesn't matter how good you can build. If you can't hit your shots, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to close out the fight. I think what people grossly underestimate is the fact that these pros are accurate. They will put the crosshair where it needs to be, no matter the input. You have to respect it here. Train H, we're coming back. More action from Train H. I mean, the Train H boys, you got to give credit to all of them. From Blaster, Alpha, Falcony, Seth, French. These are all players that probably are on the invite list, by the way, because they all are competitive veterans, all of which have been performing as of late. It's kind of crazy. The Train H team still putting up big numbers here. We'll see, though. He's got a little bit of a kind of comeback to make. I think he only had 39 points, which is not too bad. He's like in the middle of the pack right now, kind of actually fickling out towards the bottom half.
You know, that's where you want to be. I mean, we saw in the play versus being in the middle of the pack, you have that opportunity to vault yourself up into the middle. And this is only day one. So you kind of want to pace yourself as well, so you don't burn yourself out and you don't tilt yourself, more importantly. So I think being around the 20s to 30s is a good, healthy number. 58, you're looking really solid to qualifying into the top 300. So Kinwin right now, using that stealth that we've been discovering that's been used in solo play. A lot of people like to hang out in bushes, looking for that opening dink here to open this engagement. Doesn't get it though, so that's a big factor right now. Only getting a 28 tag, but it doesn't matter. He does catch the opponent with that door open right there with the wall. And now we have a nice little good old-fashioned build-off right up against Risky Wheels projection screen, but he has him right above, using that shotgun to continue the pressure. Doesn't get what he's looking for in terms of tags, but he still has a great position here. And now it's fight or flight, but Kinwin ends it really quickly with a nice swift pump right there, Monster.
Balasconi gets taken out. It's the second time I think we've seen him on the receiving end of the AR shots in the box. Killen had really good tracking, very precise, very methodical with his fire rate as well. Just taking his time, tap firing through the builds, but just enough knowing that the player was on the run. Kind of liked the way he took that fight. Looked like he was in control the entire time.
And we do have Nyrox right there. Of course, a little bit of a redemption story. You know, he's been on the journey trying to prove himself as a solar player since becoming the duos world champion. Had a little bit of success in the Australian Open and DreamHack Sweden, so he's right there on the left side as King Win. He's going to take this opportunity to kind of just flow down the river, which is of course introduced in Fortnite Chapter 2, Season 1. The nice little... I like these as a way to kind of like boost yourself out and get that really nice rotation, as Kingwin no doubt is going to find himself in a nice placement in the upcoming circle. And here is back to robots, as you mentioned, Train H being represented really well in this Invitational, and I really like that. You know, doubt Train H boys right now rooting for robots here to do really well. Has a very strong kit. No doubt was probably going to see himself in the end game, especially with that rocket launcher in his repertoire.
Well, the RPG has spelled disaster for anyone on high ground. There's a couple shots they're not going to find its mark here, but the pressure is on as Robobs, I think, is really just feeling himself right now coming into the mid game. This is what, you know, a lot of players feared, right? Is like, what are the games going to be like? Are these games going to emulate an Opens kind of, you know, last week performance where players are W King or not, right? Once players start to get fired up, warmed up, and confident with a lobby, that's it. All of a sudden now we're looking at a different type of pacing here. Now look, he's looking for the fight. These are some very scary mid-game fights, but Robob's going to catch wind of another player nearby. He's going to back off respectively, and now it's someone else's problem. He's still thinking about it, Sancho. He's like, do I want to go in?
Oh, there it is. There it is. That's what he heard. He heard the shield crack, so he knew there was an opportunity, and just like that, the opportunity arises with 150 rocket launcher right there, and here we go. He's going to go to collect this loot for the first one, but he just decides, all right, hey, Storm's coming in. I'm going to go ahead and back off, let Rezon do his thing, and I'll see you later, and I'll gatekeep you out, knowing that there's not that many people. And as I was talking about, Nyrox, no shields right now, trying to do his best to get that redemption going for him, going against Tokar. Not a bad day for Nyrox so far with 27 points. And we know that he has an ability to perform at a high level. He's done it before, but now he's solo, so can he do it? And he's going to have this box fighting opportunity as the Storm is pushing them in, heading towards Zone 3.
Not only that, I mean, you just forgot to mention how long this fight's been going on. This has really been dragging on. Last time we were here at the Risky Reels. Yeah, it's just been an extended box fight. This is so bad for both parties, though. You really have to weigh the consequence here. The material waste, the time waste, the ammunition, and they're not gaining anything for it. Nothing but 4 points if one of them even can secure this Elim right now. Nyrox now on no heals anymore. It's all or nothing here now, as the Storm Zone is going to probably be his biggest kind of enemy here outside of Tokar's pressure, of course. He's got the shotgun advantage too, and he's going to lose the trade. Tokar is going to find the mark, and he gets to reap all the rewards here. No, you know what? He says, forget the shotgun advantage. I got the purple pump. He's good.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, though. You got to fight. And as Tokar, you've mentioned it before, maybe that risk of taking on that long, grueling heavyweight fight will be the bane of his existence, as he's going to try to get his way in and no doubt attract a lot of the gatekeepers of this lobby. But hey, man, Nyrox, he knows what he has to do. He knows he has to perform. He decided to take on that fight. I cannot fault him for that. When you're a champion of previous lore, you've got to step up, and he did his best right there. No doubt, still a dangerous competitor out here on the field. You still want to respect the name when you see him in the feed.
Also, you can hear the shots of this player that's in this house right now. Train H Robobs is just moving around. So risky of him to be farming the building, right? Knowing there's an enemy inside of there, though. He can hear him. If I can hear him, then he can definitely hear him. You best believe that. It's all right. He said he had enough of those cheeky builds, and it was worth it. I mean, he got a little bit out of it. He did manage to squeak away with a couple hundred.
You see it, man. The reform is so important, right, Monster? And it's still dangerous, as you see how dangerous it can be. Yikes!
All right, but Robobs is a flopper player. I mean, he still has some heals, so as long as too many people don't jump in, he'll be okay. And that's the difference in hard mats versus light material. He was able to kind of weigh out the extra AR shots there just from using his heavy mats right now. He's dwindling ever so slowly here now, down to his last 200 mats. He has to make a big move here. It's basically all or nothing. This is where he decides to go in for it. Oh no, the shotgun or the RPG from behind now. That's the third party. things are swinging for him a little bit here. I mean, he doesn't have mats anymore, but the focus is on the other player. Here's the 50-50 now, Sancho.
Yeah, dude, the 50-50s in the third party coming in hot. I can see Mongrel in the kill and the Elim feed as well. So Mongrel is running around. Haven't seen him on the broadcast yet. It'd be interesting to see if we get a battle between Mongrel and Benji as well. Yeah, robot, bang! Just all of a sudden, man, the quick edit. And Runny does the thing he does best, and that is get the Elims right there. 47 for the day, but you mentioned, I think the third party really messed up Robots right there, man. And no matter how skilled you are, the third party kind of throws a wrench into your plans.
I was going to say, the scary part about that is Ronnie got hit for what looked like maybe 150 or something, because even after the scythe, he only had 100 HP. So very closely, very close exchange there. As Ronnie's on fire now, he's going to catch Resin as well. This is going to bounce him right back into comfortable territory. Ammunition, material, health, he's chilling across the board now, as it all just so happens to work out in his favor.
Big time chilling, and we're taking a rest look at the map here in Monster. Everybody is jockeying for position, trying to do their best not to get the attention of some of the beamers in the lobby, as Freddy right there at 35 making that free open moving, and Savid is taking some hits, and we're on board here with Savid, and he does see that another free rotation, trying to decide whether or not to take it, trying to line up his shot, waiting for the opponent to get closer and closer. Has 21 points for the day. So Savid is going to go ahead and pop out. Does get a 50 hit right there, Monster. And I think he was like, all right, I'm cool, because he knows that it's going to attract the rest of the lobby here, only building down to wood mats. So that was a very important tag for him, just to see what he can get with that engagement. But, you know, there's some of those instances you decide either I'm going to go for it or not go for it. And sometimes what the decision that you make in your gut of kind of disengaging may be the best one than going all in, even despite you're getting a big tag there.
That is true, and I mean, that sound cue of someone getting sniped, he turned around right away, trying to see what he can do. Good control of the walls here. Notice these are all his. He popped the shot, took the wall before the player can even react to defend. And just like that, it's all over. That is what we call prime piece control in PvP. Pop the shot, you take the wall before they can even react, and all of a sudden, they end their games. And it was Wolfie Save It is going against here. These are top tier competitors against one another. Wolfie, Save It. I saw Andilix, the FNCS duo champ, just nearby. Provoked was also on the other side of the hill. What a stacked lobby. And this is what we expect. The later you go into the competitions, the more likely, as the points go up, that the better players are going to be going against one another. Benji, Fishy, literally the best players right now that are in this game are all starting to now pile on top of one another.
This zone looks very scary, Monster. You see on the top left, I don't know if it's us too. We have a tendency to cast water zones. I mean, it could go that way. And if it does go that way in this half in, half out, it's going to be very interesting how the lobby handles that. And I don't know if it's just us, man, that has this kind of luck to have it, but I really hope that it doesn't go that way, because it does spell disaster for a lot of it. But hey, man, when things go awry, that's when your skills shows up here. As we're taking a look at Benji, Fishy, Diablo on the high ground. Toos, as mentioned earlier. Ben2K had some decent runs here. Let's see if he could kind of turn it around for himself. A lot of people that we're rooting for, no matter what, these are the top competitors that you have in the EU region. So no matter what, if your day ends early or if you're having a bad day one, you could turn it around in day two, Monster, because it's a total of 20 games. And so we kind of never talked about that, is game management. And we talked about some games are key games and some games are in games. So it's gonna be interesting how the rest of the field plays out the rest of their 10 slotted games today.
I mean, just looking what Wolfie's here, players like Wolfie's and Benji's. Oh, someone actually landed on Wolfie's wall for a second there, the floor with him, but he jumps off in just enough time. Looking at the feed right now, Toos is going to fall to Ronnie. So Ronnie's going to be able to connect and find another one. He is the bane of some of these players right now, wrapping up the competition. Good 90 shot right here from Wolfie's. Will he be able to connect? Now jumps into the box. This is the special for the controller W keyers. They will set up the ramp without a hesitation, players like Wolfie, and just jump in your box and take you out of the lobby. 4 floppers from that. That's huge for him right now. This could be his comeback game if he can just make it all the way through to the end. Here's Benji Fishy.
On the high, man. Looking good, dude. Looking good. I mean, you said so yourself, though, Monster. I mean, Wolfie's controller player, using that technique, very strong, very aggressive. You kind of mentioned him early in the broadcast as well. So I expect Wolfie to be a high caliber player going in the rest of the way. But Trizox, man, I like his kid as well. Monster's doing really well with 42 points, so he himself is having a healthy day.
He's definitely doing pretty good. Just look at the zone right now. The players are all stacked on top of one another here on the beach of sweaty sands. This is a very sweaty beach indeed. As the lobby's now going to cut across the residential area, actually right through the major big building. That might impact the way players are going to have to cut through here. Might be a blessing for some that are low on material. Maybe they'll be able to find their refresher. I'm a fan of zones cutting through major POIs because of that fact right there. Really allows players to change the favor of their situation around. So we're looking at Trizox here. He's got the favor of having first dibs on this rotate right now. With the launch pad as well, he can choose to do a very late pad. That's why he's able to sit back and really just gargoyle players out. Stormy Right's going to fall there. Let's see if he can find another one right now. There is someone in the zone. He's doing a good job tracking this player. He's already put one shot down, but the RPG is going to come through the window. Looks like he has overstayed his welcome, and now he's on the run for his life here in this game. He has to start healing up. There's a launch pad nearby. Can he find it in time? Nope. Instead, he's going to use his zone.
You have to
He's
be
still
careful
in it.
using those edits. Yeah, he's still in it, but I mean, you make those mistakes. It happens, man. You said so yourself. Kind of overstayed his welcome. Usually, you're inviting a rocket to be sent your way if you have a window open, and a strong player will make that kind of decision. But you got to go for those elims on the gatekeeping, right? On the backside, Monster. You know how those importance can be, especially with 4 points elims right there. As Get Prefer Kid, we talked about it before with Benji having the grappler. Get Prefer Kid has the tools to be very successful in this, especially having high ground and some big dinks right there, right through that stairway. Gets bad sniper. Monster, this is going to be a great position here for Get Prefer Kid, doing really well with 83 points.
Yeah, Pre-Fire Kid's connecting all the way here. He has height, he has grappler. There's no way anyone's going to take him out. As the launch pads raise his senses, raise up his alarms here. He goes ever so higher, and just so much damage on this weapon. My gosh, 37 connecting right there. There was no bullet drop. I still see Benji Fishy in this game right now. He's like the eye of the hurricane here. He just gets stronger and stronger the more he sits on the ocean, right? He's starting to gather and amass more power, more points. We can see him in the feed right now. He's going to find Freddy. So he's still scoring. And Ronnie finally gets taken out this game by Savid. As now Benji Fishy finally falls to the storm, but not before breaking top 10. So still a very good game for him. Pre-fired Kid, though. So good, so comfortable on height, material and everything. Look, he's just reading the color splashes through the bush there, trying to see what he can connect with now. This is pretty much his game here with this guy's assault rifle.
His game, and he's proven it well with 102 points. He is on fire. Pre-fire doing his best right now. It's kind of like a repeat almost, but now it's Pre-fire Kid sitting on the high ground. He was able to eliminate Benji, and he's still putting some big time dinks on the rest of the lobby, just getting those pokes that you're looking for and letting the storm do a lot of the white health. And Pre-fire Kid, Monster, is on a roll, getting more dinks with Sky's AR. This is all his world right now in a top 2 situation, Monster.
All he has to do now is just close out the game right here. I mean, we saw a player still lose from height, but not with this much of an advantage. 200 effective health on Pre-fired Kid. He does take the floor there. Look, he's playing it nice and textbook. He doesn't want to throw the game here. He has enough mass to wait this out. He's looking for shots here. Just one slip of the build, though, it could be all over. Look at how fast he was to hit the edit right there. Let's see if Pre-fired can close the game. We heard the RPG, and it is. It's Wolfies who's going to eat the 126 to the face. 8 eliminations for Pre-fired Kid. His victory royale.
Wow. Wow. For a moment there, you know, I thought Wolfies can do this. This is Wolfies we're talking about. And unfortunately there, it did not work out. Pre-fired had everything in his arsenal he needed to lock up the game. So now we're starting to see that familiar trend. These mythic weapons are kind of being put back in play, and it's working out for them. Really quickly, we'll take a look at the standings, see how things are shaking out for EU, who currently holds that #1 spot, and what thresholds we should be keeping an eye on as we watch some of the games. Look at that, though, gentlemen.
Wow.
In first place right now, Benji Fishy, 138 points. And Get Pre-fired Kid right behind him at 131. Monster, this is a pretty strong start.
I mean, I made the analogy, used the metaphor of a hurricane sitting on the ocean. That's Benji right there. He's just going up and up. Can anyone stop him? Who will be the landmass that puts him to, puts the brakes on him? This is a crazy top 10. Even Tohaj, someone who's a veteran right now, in an open format, Tohaj, known for not finding elims. Mind you, look, he has 10 elims only. He's in top 10. He has a placement, genius. So the format playing into all benefits, right? If you're a placement kind of guy, if you're an elim kind of guy, that's what I'm seeing right now. Players are shining for being good. Take a look at that.
Very quickly, I'm going to cut in before you, Sancho. We're getting word. Get Pre-Fired Kid is actually Mitro. That is
Makes
insane.
sense.
Oh man, they're using the name switch and he hides amongst it. Is a sheep. It's basically a wolf among the sheep out there, and he gets himself some big plays, but it's not it's really cool. What I'm seeing is that consistency is key, but if you have that pop-up game, it kind of catapults you to the top 15. We see Fremont up there, we see Castry up there, who've been doing really well on the broadcast. So Zeke, it all comes down to performing when the lights are on, and it all comes down to, of course, having the pop-up game at the right time, and that is what's really cool. And I'm excited to see who could consistently get through the rest of the EU day one.
That's right, man. That's it right there, right? That's the key, day one, because we still have day two coming tomorrow, another 10 games. So not only do they have to be consistent today, they need to do the same tomorrow if they hope to be pushed on. The top 300 from every region will be moved on to week number 2. So keep that in mind, Fortnite fam, as we move through the rest of our games. Gentlemen, I appreciate you guys for coming on. The games were great. The cast was dope. Sancho, you were incredible. I hope you had a great time. Now, of course, we do need to go to a little bit of a break. So, Fortnite fam, don't get too far. Go grab a snack, refill some water. Come right back, though, because we'll have more Fortnite action with the FNCS Invitational after this. on, Fortnite fam? We are back with more of the FNCS Invitational. I'm your host, Zeke, and this time we've got Shia Wager and Bala TW joining us to round out the European region. Boys, we've had some crazy games. Bala, we're seeing Benji Fishy back on top, baby!
Yes, we are. And to be honest, this is kind of something that I think Benji has been striving for a long time. This is somebody who is perennially trying to win tournaments. But when it comes to major events, he hasn't quite yet gotten there. I think the closest was during squads when they placed second. But going to DreamHacks, he didn't perform how he wanted to, even though it was good. Going to AO, it wasn't as high as he wanted to place. So when it comes to these major events, he's not quite there at the stage that he is in the Cash Cups, for example.
We can talk about a little bit as to why he's just been so prevalent today and how I think he's going to just take the competition by storm in total. I mean, the last time Monster Deep Face and Sancho West were casting, they hate calling it sneaky tactics, but I'm calling it positioning. And that's what Benji's always been about. In all formats, in any region, he's been like the top contender in working the positions of other players, knowing where they are and knowing where to put himself. So we see him doing it just now. There's so much more to go, though, and I just can't wait to keep watching exactly what he's going to be doing.
That's right. Now, let's go ahead and what we should probably go ahead and do, gentlemen, is take a step back and just refresh people on what the overall tournament format looks like. So right now, we're in week number 1. Last week, we had open qualifier round where 100 players in every region moved on to week number 1. Now, here's where things get interesting. In week 1, the top 300 players from every region will move on to week number 2. In week number 2, the 300 will be whittled down again to the top 80 who will move on to grand finals. Now, the Friday before, May 22nd, we've got a reboot round. That means players who have not qualified will have a second chance. They will have 6 games to try and make it in, and the top 20 will move on to grand finals. Now, keep in mind, 20 games, you see twice, that's 10 over 2 days. Reboot round is 6 in 1 day, and then obviously grand finals will be 6 games across both days. So just keep that in mind with the format. And we'll do our best to refresh you guys as well as we move on through. But now, gentlemen, this is it. The final few games out of EU day number 1. Shai, what do you think what are you hoping to see, my man?
I'm hoping to see more stackers and more of these guys just playing their hearts out as much as possible. There's been some kind of, battle between these new up-and-comers and the people who've used to being in these positions of qualifying time and time again. There's limited spots, as you just saw by the format. Everyone's just trying to qualify and stay at the top charts of the leaderboard. There's only limited amounts of space for all these players. So I want to see playstyles clash. I want to see storylines develop.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see just that, because what we're seeing out of Benji, what we're seeing out of Andalex, who's at the top, Nate as well, a couple big names who are going to be fighting week after week. What we're going to see is storylines develop, but we're also going to basically, because the games today are really good, we're already getting a preview essentially of what will be in the grand finals, I'd say. So seeing these guys at the top right now bodes well for their performances down the line in grand finals.
That's right, gentlemen. Well, I'm getting word games are ready. We're getting ready to head into game number 6 out of EU. We got Bala TW. We got Shia Wager. Bring the heat, boys.
Let's get it going. It's time to wrap up EU, at least just for day 1. Remember, 2 total days, 20 total games. This is coming towards the end of the first 10. And once again, the spotlight is going to be on Benji Fishy for, I think, the 6th or 7th time in a row at Retail Row, looking to win it out once again, and against new players every single time, Bala.
Yeah, that's the thing with the smaller player pool, but it's still not customs. It's still not that grand finals. You kind of have to be on your toes. You have to be positioning yourself well in early game, and so far we've seen him not, at least when we've checked in, it hasn't been an off-spawn elimination for him. It's been moving in towards the end of the game. Another people that are in this, Nyrox with Mage at Slurpee Swamps. There's also Kredge in the background. 3 solid players. And Nyrox right now, 38 points. I'm not sure where the cutoff for top 300 is, but we know 150 around that is where the first place and top 10 performances are so far. So Nyrox probably still has a little bit ways to go.
And we can put that in a skill for everyone else at home, right? Not only are these players thinking about how their POIs are going to change from game to game, it's also about the overall points they're going to need to keep playing in the competition and stay relevant versus their opponents in these POIs. We've seen it in other competitions before, but when people start to get in the lead and they're still landing at the same spots, they start to get a little bit hyper-aggressive, work to make sure their POI, their drop spot where they're landing in the early game is as least contested as possible. Right now, we'll see Craze going up against, we saw earlier, all the way here at the bottom of the swamp, a fast early game fight getting started. And with these fights, you'll have limited mats. You'll have to be really decisive. Look for fast shots. When you're at POIs like Slurpy Swamp, usually it's all hard mats. And sometimes you can get caught between a rock and a hard place. Either way, both team or both solos here will have a lot of shields to use. Both the Slurpfish minis, full shields already from hitting canisters earlier on. It'll be really easy for these guys to rack up quick damage. Yeah, but there's so many players around.
There's so many. There's people up north, there's people south, there's people coming out of Slurpy. And Nyrox will win the fight against Krez, and that's huge for Nyrox. 43 points now with that elimination. And moving towards that top 300 threshold. Last I checked, it was around the 50-point area. And it's going to continue to rise. Mage now pushing in 2 fights back-to-back that are going to be so difficult for Nyrox to contend with. He's going to have to box up and wait for this. And accept Mage, essentially, for the box fight to come.
And this is the second one at speed that Nyrox has to not only analyze, but then react to afterwards. No one can help him here, only on wooden materials. Him and his tactical shotgun will have to find a way, but with only 11 shots, every single one will have to count. You can't really miss. There's the first drop down. Tries to go for it, a tricky pyramid at it. To lay down a trap, but can it work 2 times in a row? No, absolutely not. Now on this wall, Mage will try to find a way to squeeze in. It's still going to be difficult. We're talking good player on great right now. Both trying to find a way to escape to the next portion of the competition. And while this 1v1's going on, one person having trouble all the way on the left side of that mini-map. Does he want a third party it? Does he want to make this fight even more complicated? I'm seeing a yes over here, and it's about to get even more messy.
This is going to be crazy. And don't forget, Mage qualified through the open qualifiers. Nyrox has played well in a number of different FNCSs, but also he's the reigning duos world champion with Aqua. Now up against Mage, the box fight continues. He does get a little bit of damage done on himself. Mage is reigning supreme so far, but nowhere yet to get in the box. He's going to go for it, but the wall stays and remains.
These walls are just too heavy. Mage cannot find a way in every single time. We see he has an opportunity. He can't get it done. Gets 4 points still away from it. It's Wolfies who's actually on full momentum right now, getting into this fight, finishing it off quick. A dance there too. I think Mage knows exactly who he's dealing with now and how confident he is as well. We talked about people on high points making sure that their castle cannot get invaded whatsoever. Right now, Wolfies is trying to just spread that rain all the way over Slurpy Swamps. Not landing directly into the POI, but still doing a lot of damage to anyone near him or in between.
And actually, Wolfies placed second in that World Cup in duos against Aqua and Nyrox. Almost overtook them with a crazy performance from him and Rojo. Now against Mage. He cleaned that up, clean at it to get away. And he is riding the momentum. He is riding the wave from that previous game that we just saw. So many eliminations, not quite the win. But things slow down. Mage realizes the pressure that he's up against, and he also has not received any impact. He hasn't gotten a refresh. So he's stuck right now with the mats that he went into the beginning fight against Nyrox.
And that impact becomes so much heavier as these games go on. When people first start the competition, they kind of understand how good an elimination can be, but at the end of the day, it's not going to rattle home. Mage gets sent completely back to that lobby by Wolfies. You'll notice now that people are a little bit more hungrier for these impact eliminations. There's going to be less of a chance now towards the back end of the game to get these, how much 4 points actually matters towards the overall competition, gets into scope more as the day goes on, as the night lengthens. And over here, you'll see that effect happen once again. People hungry for these eliminations all at the early points of the game. They want to get these fights done quickly. There's no more hesitation. They know what they want, and they're going to get it.
Wolfie's starting to feel it a little bit. This is the type of stage where Wolfies will do very well as Sniper picks up one, almost gets another. And I think that's going to be the cue for him to say, okay, I've gotten enough. The storm is coming. I don't want to get still. By the way, which would have been a 3-way fight after the elimination even still. But Wolfies is one of those guys who rides on momentum. He starts to get a couple of elims. He starts to get his aggressive play style going a little bit. And from there, he'll just rise, rise, and rise. He's at 110-ish points so far. And I think as we have about 15 minutes left for Q's, we probably will watch about 2 more games. I think that's still the opportunity that Wolfies needs to rise. Time and time again, we see the cash cups that he does win are from performances where he takes his time. He goes into the last couple of games, not at the top, but then earns himself crazy performance after crazy performance. Now's another opportunity.
And these opportunities are sprouting up every single place of the map. A heavy sniper coming in, but Resin, my lord, does not let it actually affect his game or his path to becoming towards that top spot.
And he knew exactly what was coming. He knew that that player was still laying in wait at these mythic POIs. The vault is what ends up being the most important during stacked games. In the open qualifiers, maybe not so much. The weapon might have been a little bit more important, but here it's the launch pad. So he knows that that heavy snipe is going to come in the box once that vault opens. And he was prepared to make sure that he hit the shot he needed to hit. Rezon does make it happen. Now, we talked about Benji Fishy at the start of this, and this is it. The positioning, he gets in, forces these players in uncomfortable fights to start things off, and then gets all the way in. He's following him up very well.
Very well, and with speed, you talk about position, you'll notice exactly where he picked to finally have this fight. No one else is really in range, at least for this short amount of time, as Benji's working the fight to get in and have a say. Even that third party who finally gets a whiff of it is now, once seeing that it's concluded, not going to bother, especially seeing the Elam feed after the fact as to who picked up that player. It's going to be Benji. Kira getting pushed all the way back, wants to play his game out, not try to mess with the top dog of the competition. He'll roll out even more so at the edge of zone, look for another fight to pick up, another free 4 points. You might say this is sneaky. I just say it's completely smart. First of all, by putting that wall up, making sure he doesn't get damage done to himself, but at the same time get more information on where to play afterwards. That player, not his target. The map right now is looking for a way to get to the next zone.
He's a hunter. He looks for the moments, looks for the holes, the gaps in vision of these players. And if that opportunity is there, he'll take it. Just like you saw him do a moment ago for his first elimination. And he is in his natural habitats. One thing to note too is how Benji, when he gets to get his games rolling, it's not out of a mythic POI. It's never been. It's been Lazy Lake. Now moving over to Retail Row, a little bit more secluded, where he relies on just normal loot.
But he knows how to play once he has that loot, right? Like, his game plan is always to go for these elims, maybe stumble upon the agency. We saw him play so well with the grappler as well beforehand. Just because he doesn't start with the information, the cool thing about Benji, and I think what sets him apart from everyone else, is he adapts so fast to the aggressive play that he has, the potential of his loadout, and he always chases to make it even hit heavier. And no controller needed to hit double dinks. He is online right now. You can't have hard mats to stop either. Get a big hit. Benji's still there, though. 60 HP to end the fight. He is on a roll.
So Frenzy Fishy goes down, and the respect might be there. But after that, I have to wonder if he has to reconsider his name choices. Benji puts him down quickly now. 2 eliminations and a solid loadout. He has a launch pad, epic loadouts all around, and plenty of shield. Wondering if he can find himself a campfire. I don't think there's one right now in between him and zone. He does have the harpoon to try to get any more fishing holes, and I don't think there is any. So he continues to move forward. And again, Benji wants to win a tournament, wants to win something on a major scale, other than the cash cups that he has done so well in. And now that it's online, now that it's at home, I think the comfort there really puts him in contention. What?
Sixth Sense. It's gotta be. War has to have something hooked up to his body right now to be able to tell exactly what this person is. That is IQ at its finest. Those are hard to see.
That was insane from War. I mean, in the bush, he knew possibly that the guy was in there, but not only did he go for the shot entirely, he also hit the headshot. He knew where the person was going to be in the bush. He lined it up with precise crosshair placement. And that's very impressive. Not necessarily consequential. Depends what he actually found out of that bush.
And we'll see Legendary once again trying to get things done, but this is the difference when you have a certain goal in mind versus when you're actually just stumbling upon fights. This one looks kind of goal-oriented. Finally, the reactions there, the shots roll up. But going for a fight in this position, just look at the minimap. Look at the amount of players that are right beside you. Picked a good spot to be in, but now can get focused. Has the extra materials left over from the opponent that he eliminated. So he will be able to stall out a lot for a bit, but losing info as to how the rest of the map is moving. Going for elims now, going for fights now is just so much harder.
And this is EU, man. People will get in these box fights. They will get aggressive. And we find another one. And these players are slightly above the threshold that they need to be, but they're not at the level of Benji right now in terms of points. These fights matter so much. I'm wondering now for Shizo if he actually needs this. You said goal-orientated. He has, what a loadout. He has materials.
Yeah.
I'm curious if this is just a positional fight. Is this something that he just realizes, I've made the read? Oh, so close on the Berlusconi. That was dangerous. And he actually is going to pay for that because right after, it's Kira who gets in the heavy snipe in the box. He knew the situation. He knew that was a full trade. And he knew it was a free elimination.
And if you're watching closely, Kira is the one who actually had the plan there, and it didn't work last time, putting himself into a position where a fight's going on, seeing how much damage is traded. We saw what he did with Benji. This time, being closer, learning from his mistakes, planning things out, then looking for a shot in afterwards. Kinzel, the same thing, putting yourself in a position, yes, it might not be in zone, but you'll be in a spot, especially with a metal wall, to have a free edit on someone moving, get a shot off. You'll see these players kind of just moving off of what they see versus what they expect players to do. And those people who have those good expectations, have those plans, work it out afterwards, will not only get points, but the difference is survive after the fact. Because you can win a fight, but it won't matter if you don't see more placement afterwards and get to another.
If you're wondering why he's tunneling so furiously towards zone, he got the impact. He knew that there was a metal stack back here. And he's going to spend that to get in towards zone and possibly even get the rest of it to use a little bit later. The south side of this very, very congested right now. And that is probably where we're going to see Wolfies at the end of this. I've already seen Legendary, who, by the way, his duo partner is in the game of Stormy Wright. And again, you think about how the EU scene has developed, why they're playing a little bit more aggressively. You think about all these people, how many duo switches they've gone through. Nice headshot from Razan. How many duo switches they've gone through and who they've played with. Like, Wolfies has gone through many, many partners, many, many squads. The entire EU scene has essentially done so, and they're all aggressive. The top of the top. You think of players like Mitro, you think of players like Kiriachi, Letwick, Benji, Mr. Savage. All these guys so aggressive. Kinzel, in a sense, was one of the players who was known as, probably with Mitro originally out of the summer skirmish days from the start, one of the best players in the region. Now still is for sure, but not on the level quite as Benji and others.
It's an ever-developing game, both in and off the court, in a sense, right? Like, you'll always have to react to changes and where people are in front of you in boxes, but at the same time, overall in gameplay as well, in game style. People always grabbing things when it comes to mechanics, when it comes to edits, but also when it comes to mentalities and reputation in the game. It's all on the line here as well, as Bala mentioned, a more major-esque tournament where it's a long, drawn-out process of qualifiers. It's not just a one-off, two-day event. And oh my god, Kinzel will make it look like that for a lot of people, though, because he's sending body after body straight back to the queue. This heavy sniper, although nerfed, doesn't matter if you're hitting headshots. It still gets that fast elim down. Stormy Wright heard that elim happen, is in a better position in terms of safety, but to move out of here, it will be difficult.
Certainly would be. But if fifth zone goes there, you could basically sit there for a long time. And that's what all the players are waiting for right now. A lot of big names in this. Nikov in the background. And something what are we watching for right now? What are we trying to expect? We're looking for basically who is going to come out in the top 10 at the end of today, and who is going to be making it just barely into the top 300, because that's who we're going to see in week 2. That's who we're going to see have the largest chance of qualifying for the grand finals in terms of thinking about the overall tournament structure and format.
That's also who we're going to be seeing playing defense, because that bottom 300 is going to be looking to hunt and get big point games afterwards. So these are the players who are going to have to hold down their drop spots. These are the players who are going to have to replicate what they've done today, but in environments that are that much more hostile. Right now, you talked about that 5th zone coming near Kinzel, coming near Stormy. It's right here. He's here to chill now, but Kinzel's there on his pyramid, knocking on the door, looking for just a little bit more, with already 3 eliminations all pre-planned out. He's just there racking for information, looking for what gun might be in the hands, in the inventory of that player down below. Now suddenly moving, looking for a free rotation, not using that much mobility. He has none right now, but he's in there. It's clean and it's fast.
That was well done from Kinzel. And he even finds the elim possibly a second from down below. He's going to continue to pressure. No, he backs off. The Brutus minigun now in his hands. That's the key to unlocking success in this game. But you talked about the information play. He does finish out Stormy right. That was beautiful. Okay, from that entire sequence at the start, the information play, knocking on the top of that roof, was really to bait those 2 players down below to start moving so that he could have that free rotation that he ended up getting, so that they would build for him. Because you see somebody knocking on the top, you're going to be like, okay, this guy wants to fight. I want to get away. I need to get towards 5th zone before I engage in any of these shenanigans. And then he gets there. So perfectly played from Kinzel. He's now got 4 eliminations and Brutus's minigun. And with the amount of players in this lobby, he's going to need it.
And that amount as well. We've seen all these players be the common active people in the lobby, using their mats, using their ammunition. I just saw Nate chilling out mid-ground. I just saw AimSons, I believe, somewhere in the lobby. There's a bunch of players. You mentioned Nikov. I'm looking at War, Nikeva as well. People who haven't been activated just yet. We don't know their loadouts. The rest of the lobby doesn't either. Motor, in the midst of everyone else as well, is just getting all this information, is staying a little bit more secured, and not using as many materials to stay safe, because they're not as loud. They'll have an even more potential to pop off in just a few moments as these zones start to move.
And don't forget, Nate is in the top 10. Benji Fishy is first. Nikeva, second place. So we're setting up a duel here between Benji and Nikeva and anybody else in that top 10 right now, or possibly in the top 20, as Sancho said moments before in the previous cast. It only takes one to push yourself up, but that one has to be huge. And you also have to knock out the fish in your way, which is Benji. And he is going to have to use a launch pad here. Sets up the short pad and gets a really, really nice clean cut way into zone.
Now we're going to be moving back and forth through Pleasant Park. A lot of materials, a lot of shields left in the inventory, but one bad decision from Benji or anyone else can send you straight down the depths of low ground. You want to be able to survive up here in mid. You want to make things clean, use as less of materials as possible. Right now, Benji getting really greedy, but at the same time, making the right decisions, not only to be in the right spots, but also take out top players. War going down. Now Floppers enter the Storm Master's hand. Benji's going to be moving forward with another launch pad to use in case he wants to. 7th zone gets revealed, bounces all the way back from where he came from, so he gets to have a say on a little bit more of this loot, maxing out his materials as well. Has the RPG in hand, uses it for a drop down, doesn't find it though. A little bit more pressure to play off of, gets ahead of the competition. Right now, he's looking under pressure, but he's handling it really well.
That he is. He's so good in these situations, box to box. You see him low that was Wolfie's number 1. He lowers the HP of the wall before he goes in, and then gets close, phases in perfectly with a shotgun, and cleans up one of the better players in the entire game. And there's the piece control. Fortunately for him, he does escape. It looked like he might have gone down, but he does have the floppers to be able to play with it. And if he needs to, he can dip back in his zone and take the mini shields right before he goes in.
And he's given up that RPG for the additional grappler that we will be seeing used, and picks up another flopper up in the zone. Now actually gets a higher position. I was going to say he might launch pad here, but no, he's just going to rip all the way over to Nikeva. It's going to be the top 2 having a competition all the way at the top of the server. And although Benji has been knocked down slightly, it's not over yet. for this monolith of a man just looking for a way to get straight in. No, this time another escape, another lair change, the 5th one we've seen today, and immediately no more shots on top on his dome whatsoever. He gets to move in freely, gets a chance to kind of think again, get a sense of what's going on around him, and because of that finds another pickup. Benji is playing so methodical, so clean right now, and still getting hit, but finding a way to know exactly where to block, where to move that stair edit. Last flopper now used, it's just him. Umi on height, I think Nekeva got taken out or is now lost in the depths of low ground. Legendary still alive, his aggressivity now playing dividends for his gameplay. Benji actually grappling up, doesn't get to actually have a chance to move all the way to the top, but gets a better position to then fake once again and drop down. He has all the tools, has the position, zone bounces back. He's still not up though, Balla. There's a possibility. This is the 6th dropped attempt, another lair switch. Height is so silent right now. 7 players left alive, and all of them are in their own worlds trying to find a way to clash.
And this is a man with a mission right now. He's explored every option, explored every crack, and finds Legendary hiding in another one. More floppers, literally everything. This guy's mind moves at a speed that nobody can match, and now dipping in the zone. Probably not going to use the grappler. He is, yes, overtakes Umi. Finally, no, it's not even there yet. Still low HP. Umi does get a trade. And the placement points are rolling in heavily right now. 6th place, no more white heels for Benji.
And that's going to be tragic, but still he finds one little pick down of damage onto Umu, who gets taken all the way over. Finally a 1v1 chaos up at low ground, but Benji is the one with the proper position at height, taking out not only one, but a lot of damage onto himself, still being so victorious in that position, being so dominant on height, fighting for it time and time again. That position nets him the victory royale. First place, 9 eliminations. You can't ask for more out of the top player of Europe.
That was ridiculous. And talk about top players. He just proved it. That was Nate. That was Rezon. That was Legendary Zeke. That was insane from Benji Fishy.
Guys, Benji Fishy is showing the world why everyone needs to have eyes on him right now. Yet again, he finds the grappler. And it's just game over, right? The moment he gets this in his hands, his mind is moving a mile a minute. He's just constantly one step ahead of everyone else. Shy, run me through that endgame. Like, how did he make all this happen?
I mean, I'll mention one small thing, you know, just playing with what he sees time and time again. The grappler you mentioned was given to him off of his plays. The shields, the floppers, never started with, but just had to take. Balla, do you have any more things to talk about as to what we saw?
Yeah, no pun intended. The guy is just fluid. He sees something and he goes for it. If there's a moment of weakness from an opponent, he takes it. If there's an opportunity to grapple up onto height, he looked for it multiple times, gave it up for a second, but then quickly was like, okay, there's still this looming in the back. He has literally, not only is his mind moving fast, but there's just so many things going on at the same time.
Man, capitalizing on every single opportunity given his way. You know, it's crazy. I can't wait to see this final game out of EU. Don't forget, guys, the queues are closed. That is it for day number 1. We're playing catch-up right now, so we're going to get one more game to see who is at the top. And then, a little later on, we're going to take a look at the standings. And I'm telling you, I cannot wait, because this is just getting me so hyped for day number 2. A lot of these guys, day number 1, you could say is like a way to kind of shake off the rust a little bit in some ways, right? Like, get in, kind of test the water, see what happens. And if it doesn't go well, it's all right. No problem. I got day number 2 to run it all back. I mean, Shai, do you think, for someone like Benji, that doesn't matter. He's just always on. But for all these other guys, maybe that are not having the best performance, what can they do to get themselves back in the game for tomorrow?
I mean, it's a refresher. It's about reviewing your games. But even for people at the top like Benji, it's not always on competition to competition and day to day. I think everyone tomorrow will be at the same kind of set foot at game number 0, game number 1, to get things done the same way they have today. It's about looking at what worked and what didn't, VOD reviewing the people who are at the top, you know, how are they playing this format with this pressure, and then adapting that to your own playstyle. A lot of people copy, but it's about adapting things that make you feel comfortable in your own way.
That's right, Balla. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this as well as we head into the final game of EU. Take us in, gentlemen.
That we will. We will get the thoughts going. We head into the last and final game. The queues are closed, and we start things off with Lecce at the agency. But you guys are right. This is a tone setter in a sense. But don't forget, this isn't towards the end of the competition just yet. That was a million IQ, by the way, from Letchi. Like, seriously, like, he's just sitting right outside the window. He knows perfectly that there's somebody who's going to drop in and try to break this chest. That was well done. This is the experience that you see playing at the agency, and also kind of figuring out what styles and tendencies people are going to play into day after day, bringing it back to that. But he is up against our friend Coolest Carrot, who came out of the open qualifiers. Now we got to check to see if his skills are up to par with the probably one of the best controller players in EU in general. And I think that's not him. Okay, quickly takes out Claire. He still has one more obstacle to go through.
If that player still chooses and elects to be here, I think he does. Coolest Carrot just one level above Letchi, but we saw Letchi's kind of, I always say classic in terms of how players play, but just his method of actually getting into a fight. It's about attacking every single wall as fast as possible, engaging where the weak points are in a player's rotation on defense. Right now, it won't matter because he doesn't have the time. Coolest Carrot there with a shot right to the head multiple times over and over. That was a big beam. That's over for Letchi too.
And he's cleaned it up before Midas is even down. So he's done it. Overcomes the IQ of Letchi and wins out, proves that he deserves to be here. And I didn't see quite how many points he has, but I'm assuming that he's well on pace to reach the top 300 and qualify for week 2.
And now you'll finally see this pattern develop with every fight lasting just a mere short seconds. The long versions of the fights we'll see and the long portions of all these engagements will be these reactionary third-party moments. At the same time, I feel like Mini wants to end this quick. The last one, yup, a bait in, a switch just turns on, and that tack shot hits the head. It's done. I think in total, that's 6 seconds of action that Mini's found, and he's chosen to end these fights really fast.
Okay, so interesting to note. I'm basically going to rattle off some names who are in this game because I'm seeing a lot. And since this is the last game, it might mean that we're going to have a really, really nice one on our hands. CRR in this game. Mitro just got taken out by TSM Crew. Benji Fishy in this game. We already know Coolest Carrot is here. And I see 4ZR. I mean, the list just goes on. Milan is in as well. So stay tuned for this one, because if anything is shown so far, this is going to have huge implications on the leaderboard at the end of the day. And also who I think will be most hyped going into day 2.
And on those implications, it's already started, because now with that new format, placement starts getting handed out at top 75. We've already almost been 15 places into that format, and at every certain type of different threshold, every 10, more points are handed out. At the top 10 finally, that's where people need to go and want to be. Every single placement will divvy out its own points. At the same time, 4 points per elimination. Mini already has 8, is looking to get his next 4 to rack it up to 12, plus all of these placements he's been surviving over and over again. Another fight starting off fast. We're mentioning names too, Bala. Kiriachi up near the back of Slurpy Swamps, just looting out, waiting for this fight to end and start at the same time. Mini's looking for more fast, hot action, and he takes it with another cone replace. 3 tacks in total is all he needs to take out his opponent once again. Max materials, another upgrade. He's just letting these people loot for him and picking up the prize afterwards.
And I'm wondering if this is one of those lobbies that we're going to see people play very, very aggressively in, and I think Mini has started that. And based on what I saw in the Elim feed, the amount of players, I saw Verox fighting. I saw Mitro get 2 Elims before getting taken out by Crew, which means we might have a lobby where the players in it might drop very fast because they're all going for eliminations very, very heavily.
And although that will be the case, we always have that lock-in moment in that half and half zone where you just can't take fights anymore, or you risk your own game being thrown. Right now, we're not anywhere near that lock-in phase. It'll still be early game fights. The mind games, the will he, won't he, doesn't matter because he's in. It's versed with another fast elimination. And he's putting 1 on the board, thinking about what to upgrade where. And he has a lot of time because there's no one else around here in Frenzy Farms.
No, there isn't. You're right. Plenty of time. He takes out the biggest threat, which was Fleeter Moyes. And he moves on out, going for a hill, going for a high position in this first zone so that he can sit pretty for a very long time. Froxy doing something I think that is underrated and will get more and more important going forward is boxing up when you farm one of these bricks that give you 70 plus. Just because not only does it take a lot of time to farm, but you don't want to get beamed in the back from a player like Snappy, who's coming off of the rig, who has a boom bow, specifically in this area, or most likely has a boom bow. And he is going to approach with a boat while zone is coming, and realizes that Froxy actually stopped, but I think he has a doubt in his mind now as he starts to look. Yes, he's building forward, and going to go right by. Froxy has an opportunity to beam, but he pulls out the shotgun, and unfortunately that's the signal for Snappy to drop down, and he knows that there's a player there now.
Froxy's already taken almost all his shield down in this box fight, but answers right back. Another SMG beam, and this is just the state of what's going on. If you can't land those shotgun shots, if you don't have the patience, you can have the momentum to just keep chasing the headshots over and over again with that SMG beam, and he gets that down. Froxy gets to move on. Snappy looked smart in approaching that fight. Didn't want to get tricked. But at the end of the day, you know, Froxy walks away with the treat.
He's playing a little bit more loose, though. You could definitely tell the way that he was approaching that fight. Yes, it was cautious, but he wanted to fight. Which to me is showing that these guys are going into this game with the mindset of, yes, I will. CRR just melted Kiriachi's head in an instant and even gets an upgrade. That was Kiriachi, who is one of the better solo players in the region, in the world, I should say, especially when it comes down to online. I don't think we've seen him too much in major LAN tournaments quite yet. But CRR also one of those, and he shows why. His aim.
He never misses, man. I don't think I've seen him miss once. Even when just shooting out, possibly by accident, I hear a faint little headshot sound in the back of my head, because you're just used to seeing it every time there's bullets coming out of CRR's guns. He finds a little bit more ammo to use up, a little bit of floppers to put back in the inventory, and one thing you never want to see is a player like CRR, especially if you're another player trying to survive in the end game with floppers in the storm. The two combinations that just start chaos and madness, start those high eliminations. Cafu in position as well, won't actually be in a really aggressive position, but is just letting people know where he is, letting them base up and then moving up around them afterwards, because everyone needs to get in the zone. And you can't just walk by people right now. Everyone is kind of angsty, looking for possibly maybe Storm Surge for that 6th zone, but at the same time, it doesn't matter. Another beam connects, just 2 bursts. And it's another pickup, 4 total points. A fight breaks out. Cubix is there, but I don't think he knows what he's up against.
I don't think he does either. But this is, again, one of the better players in the region. Kubex played so well in duos with his partner Cammy. It doesn't matter, though. Cafo will clean that up. And gets another upgrade on his pump shotgun. And now the players with what appears to be insane aim also upgrade to insane weaponry. And we've seen 2 burst rifle shots in a row. One from CRR and then one now from Cafo. Just shows the power of that weapon in the hands of players who can use it to that degree. Thomas now has a really good spot. And with the amount of players in the game, I don't think that it's too crucial to be in one of these right now, but for sure, he'll be able to sit here for a while without really getting pushed. You see the people who get pushed time and time again are those who stay down low in a box with not too many people around them. A nice heavy snipe. And we've been seeing a lot of that today. I think as time goes on, we'll probably see a little bit less of that as players get more used to the solo format and the fact that that can happen at any moment. So you've got to be on your toes. You've got to be moving in such a way that de-incentivizes those shots, but also makes it impossible, or I mean, it's never impossible to hit the headshot with a heavy snipe, but especially when you don't know what's coming. But again, you will see that improve as we get back into the solo format.
There's no reason right now to really be moving out in the open, especially in a zone when you know people are in that lock-in situation where no one wants to really move out anywhere. You can just see it on the mini-map right now. These arrows will just be rotating in 360 degrees, but none of them will really be moving. Maybe one or two here and there. It'll be a risk nonetheless because there is basically everyone that's not moving looking for some type of shot to set up some type of trap. Here's Maestro with that same combination of just hiding his movement, hiding his game plan, waiting for these other players who are trying to get greedy on their position and capitalizing on their decisions. Now Thomas will start to move, but will he fall down to the same trap as well? I hope not, because he's got a huge loadout, momentum on his side, and full materials to play out this game.
What he did was actually wait until people got past and got towards center zone. Oh my goodness, Thomas looking like Kinzel from the previous game. He's now up to 3 eliminations with a heavy snipe and looking for more. Okay, I was going to lose it. I was going to get off my chair, stop casting. He hits another one. This guy is actually showing off some skills with a heavy snipe. I'm not downplaying that at all anymore because...
Is it a magic spot? Because I've never seen someone... I know I've seen people of this caliber hit shots, but this consistently back to back to back. Imagine if he had the old heavy sniper right now, the one that didn't get tampered with. He might be finding body after body, but he's in that perfect kind of position to know that people are going to be moving on that edge zone near the back, and that's where he's landing most of these shots. It's even low ground. Every single jump you can expect exactly where the player will land. You can't really change your trajectory mid-air. There's not even a reason to all the way near the backside. So Thomas, 1 million IQ, but has the mechanics to hit and boot as well. There's another. You can see it. It's spoon-fed to him time and time again. Everyone that's moving is in a straight line and can't really change where they're going. He's celebrating off of it. I would too. He hasn't been on the same screen as these guys for the last 4 shots.
And if you're unaware of what Shai was alluding to with the heavy sniper changes, by the way, it was reduced to do less than 150 damage if it's a body shot, but still, the full elim on a player of 200 HP is still there if you hit the headshot. So it relies a little bit more on hitting the headshots, and you don't get those situations where you're running around with a 150 shield because you haven't found a big shield, and you end up getting taken out easily from 1 heavy snipe shots to the body. Now looking forward though, we're looking at positioning, we're looking to see who has the best, and one of the best players in the game right now, sitting on 128 points, is Mr. Savage, and in the best position I'd say for now, as we're center of 3rd zone, which means that he will 100% get 4th zone. That's the way the zone geometry works, is that it will fit you right on the corner no matter where it goes. But obviously you also have the potential of getting it right down the center, which is the kind of unfortunate circumstance, but that rarely happens. So Mr. Savage looking poised to have a solid position moving in towards this end game.
You say one of the best players, I would also say one of the most decorated, because the last major solos competition that we had, this man was the winner all the way up top, actually taking out Benji Fishy all the way in his last game at low ground, where we saw him dominate the game before. So 2 big moments, 2 big styles now clash in one of the final games of Europe. And we talked about all the names in the previous lobby, the same ones that are here versed. We saw and tuned in with him earlier. Umi, who had height the game before. Fremont, who we saw at the beginning of this competition, not only get wins, but get amazing favorable trades to himself as well. Thomas HD is going to be in the same spot looking for more sniper rifle shots. Savage up in the distance, hopefully doesn't open up his box, but Benji's towards the left of Thomas, has been watching every single elimination happen. I don't think he's scared, but he's going to be keeping tally as to who is around him where, who has which items. And we've seen his brain at work once all those blueprints come to fruition. Now tuning in with Safik, a different position. No one in front of him, has to make his story himself.
He does have that heavy sniper. And that's what I'm feeling something might happen as people start to rotate. He has a lot of vision on players ahead of him. And there's one. It is going to be a finish. It's Fanta. And that's instant for him to go onto this loot. This is something that happens when you're actually on the edge of zone. You get an opportunity to catch the people who start to move right ahead of you. and you also get to use the old build. So sometimes being on the edge of zone is somewhat favorable. Another one, no, it doesn't connect. But he has the opportunity to move right through everyone, basically, and get into somewhere where he is going to be fine. And you can see him now building against the massive players who are boxed up in towards the center. Just trying to see, is there anybody behind me? Can I be falling to exactly what I just got onto Fanta? This is a big question. Now he has to start building. He's going to build right over top of 2 players. Just in the zone, barely though, and I would have liked to see him get maybe one more box in, because this is what's going to happen.
Oh no.
Everybody will see you right on the edge and start to pressure you. Thankfully, he still has a lot of time to work with before he actually has to box up in there.
And it's all these players who've been hungry for so long, no eliminations, just looking for the final tag on a player like Safik all the way towards the back. Although those 2 heavy sniper shots let about 500 mats be used by multiple people in total, he still finds a way to land another. That'll slow things down as well for the whole lobby to look at exactly who to shoot. Suddenly, no more shots being thrown out. People realize who they're dealing with.
That's what he needed to do. He needed to get that heavy snipe shot to put down at least one of the oncoming pressure fire. One of those, by the way, is Mr. Savage, who has the position in zone for a while. But what I don't like out of Safik is how far back he moved. Because of that, that gives more time for these guys to pressure it. He does have now the opportunity to fall back and get towards a different side, but man, he's so far in the open. I think if he wants to get in, he's going to have to pull out another heavy snipe miracle. And it's not going to happen. He's down and out.
You're correct. I mean, off that pressure, the decision has to be choose left or right. You can't keep walking on that same plane. Not only does it allow pressure to keep getting divvied onto you, you saw how many more boxes opened up, and then look back at Safik when he finally chose to move towards that right side. Baffo, though, was one all the way over towards the left. Now that zone pulls all the way down to the bottom left, where only 3 people get to have the reward for their positioning. Everyone else will have to move. And with 39 people left alive, that'll cause a lot of potential for more shots to land.
Not many launches so far, at least that I'm hearing. Especially, I think, because the congestion is all kind of on the side and not necessarily across from the zone. So players decide that they can go in. Nice shots from Baffo. So they continue to try to pressure. I don't know if he can recognize who that player was. He's going to get in a box. I don't know if this is him, though. I think it must be, based on the fact that he's instantly trying to go up and escape away from Baffo. But he gets the cone in, gets the floor, and knocks him down. And it's Proxy, who we saw earlier with that legendary burst AR. No, it was just an epic. And then Baffo continues. He's not in zone yet, by the way, when he took that fight. But he is now. And look at the players he's basing up right on top of Stompy, Hen, 4ZR. It just gets harder from here. Fremok is nearby. Cafo, who we saw. Coolest Carrot, who for sure has that Midas drum gun in tow. Here's Verox. One of the most, I think, underrated players in EU, but I think that may be kind of well stated, because Verox, while he has had pop-off performances in cash cups, maybe in one of the semis or open stages of FNCSs, not quite reaching those first places or even close to top 5 in when it actually matters in the grand finals. One of the great things about Verox is his aim. He consistently will hit, like Benji Fishy, 200 pump shots to the face when it matters the most, when he needs to, in clutch situations. But you'll see him consistently down on low ground doing just that and having to rely on it so much, because it's siphon after siphon that you need to use to survive down there.
Siphon's all about that low ground. When it comes to height, it's about tracking which players have what, how much pressure there is available, and who's going to rotate first. Benji being in the same position, I think, after almost every single zone, knows Thomas was above him. Looks like he didn't actually have a launch pad to use, so tracks someone else to be able to move off of. But now as this zone finally starts to move, Storm Surge is nothing he has to worry about. It's about actually getting towards that zone, opting not to actually take a big pop, but then move quickly afterwards, canceling it to get position and get distance on not only the competition, but cutting that distance as well to get towards that next zone. This entire right side of this game is suddenly dead. No players kind of in front of him at all, and he's pushing everyone on the left who can contest him all the way back with that minigun. Finally moves all the way in through the trees, through that low ground grass. A lot of people launch padding in and above him as well, but he's so secluded he won't actually get damaged, and he's the first person to actually make this move. So a good position for Benji, finding a way to get in, but at the cost, the big cost of a lot of materials.
And something you could already see him looking, hunting for an impact elimination right now because he needed some materials. He needed to find something. He's going to have to take this fight. He wants these materials, but finally the zone pushes him away. It does not come back. You see him hunting. He looks up, looks down. It's cool as carrot. He gets him out. The drum gun now possibly in Benji's hands. No, he opts to go forward. He got the materials. That was what he wanted most of all. And still so much pressure in for Benji, but he survives. He makes it out and he moves forward.
And still not in a position of any type of control, but he looks so fluid with everything that he wants to do. Nothing's rattling this man from any layer, from any position whatsoever, but at the end of the day, it'll be HP and a surprise from Matrix getting him down. Right now, Alex going to be all the way at the top of the entire server. CRR trying to just barely make it in.